Hello and welcome back to another Rush Duel Links video. Today we have some really exciting, unexpected and a little bit strange news. And that is we have a bunch of new stuff coming to the game. So we're going to go through it one by one and kind of start the least interesting and kind of work our way up. But the first thing we're talking about is a new bundle, as you can see on your screen. Advanced Notice Special Set UR Archfiend Soldier Bundle is here. A new special bundle that gives you a recommended card, packs from the latest Rush, box, and card sleeves. So again, it's just a bundle and it's another legend card. It is Archfiend Soldier. So this is just another 1900 vanilla level 4 monster. So basically it is another Force Raider. It does power creep a little bit in the sense that one, it's a Fiend monster, which means it does work with the other Fiend support cards, I suppose. So you can play this in Royal Rebels, as well as the fact it does have higher defense at 1500. So that's pretty cool. I mean, it's nice, you know, a little bonus, but we have something much more interesting, and that is a new box. So it's called a super mini box. So this is a bit weird. So to all duelists, a new super convenient super box mini is now available at the shop. Well, comes out on the 19th according to this, which for me here in the UK is tomorrow. Rush Super Mini Box Evolving Rising Heart. The following cards will be added to the limited list. Gazelle will be limited 3. So that's Thunder Gazelle. So that's a little bit of a spoiler. We have already looked at some of these cards, but we will just go over and take a look at what new cards we're getting. So as we can see, Evolving Rising Heart Super Mini Box, and the big cover card of the set is the Royal Rebels Doom Metal, which is an interesting choice. Royal Rebels seem to be the strongest deck right now. They seem to be putting up the most results, and even during the latest GRF, they were quite dominant during that, so it's interesting to see that they're going to be getting even more support. But as we can see, duels are always evolving. Push forward with the spirit of a challenger in your heart. So first off, new boss monster, new cover card, Royal Rebels Doom Metal. So 2500 attack, 2000 defense, level 8 monster. During the turn you normal summon this card by tributing 2 level 7 or higher Fiend type monsters. Destroy all face-up monsters on your opponent's field, then inflict damage to your opponent equal to the total levels of monsters destroyed times 100. So notably, it only does destroy face up. This has always been a weakness of the Royal Rebels, is they basically can only pop face up cards. But using the skill that they have, this does become a lot easier to pull off. And also there was leaked another skill that did get your monsters up to level 7, which does kind of support this card, which is why we predicted this card would be out last set. But all in all, it's decent. I struggle with the idea that the deck actually needs this. I don't know if you would actually play this with the current skill, that being the Hell Tuning Invasion, just because that skill specifically doesn't really work on getting this card's effect off, as well as the fact that this is quite high investment. The only reason I could really see you wanting to run this would be if you want to replace Heavy Metal and just go with a full board wipe strategy, if you can consistently get out level 7s and keep using them to wipe the board. Next up, Esperard the Smashing Superstar finally is coming to Duel Links as an actual card. Now this is super important for Psychics. Being able to have a 2500 body is really good. Being able to have the effect that if your life points are 1000 lower, you can destroy 2 monsters is really good. Now, is this suddenly going to catapult Psychics into tier 1 status? Probably not, let's be honest, but it does give them an extra tool to play with. Being able to destroy 2 monsters is actually really good. Psychics aren't that bad at manipulating their own life points, so if you can get yourself low enough, pop 2 of your opponent's monsters, you can effectively get 2 direct attacks, which can, a lot of the time, be enough to just win the game. So, shouldn't be underestimated, but I'm not sure this card is going to suddenly make Psychic like a really strong deck. That will definitely be a step in the right direction. The next card that we're going to show off, Dark Doom Dread Ruler. So this is the kind of sister card to Dark Lurker, which is a very controversial card, and I'm not surprised they skipped over that and gone straight to Dread Ruler. So this card came out as kind of, it was either very late 7 support, or it was after a little bit of Go Rush support had come out. They went back and revisited some 7's archetypes and brought this out. I remember it was part of a special pack, but I could not tell you if it came out before Go Rush. I think it came out after Go Rush. But this is a 2500, 1500 defense, level 7 zombie monster, the first kind of zombie support we're getting. Send 1 zombie type monster from your hand to the graveyard. This card gains 1000 attack to the end of this turn, so going up to 35 is an extremely relevant number, as we've seen from something like the Ultimate Bond skill, and being able to use the Aim Eagle to get your monsters up to 35. Then, if you have a level 7 zombie type monster in your graveyard, inflict 700 damage to your opponent. So again, 700 damage is not a ton, but it's something, right? Being able to burn your opponent for anything is always going to be pretty good. Next up, we have Rogue of Archfiend. So this is a new Fiend monster, level 4, 1200 attack, 1100 defense. Send one face-up Fiend monster from your field to the graveyard, so you could choose itself. Choose up to 2 face-up Fiend monsters on your field. This turn, the chosen monsters cannot be destroyed by your opponent's trap card effects. So this is very strange, because we've just now, with Roa's repeat event, gotten access to the Royal Rebels Arena, which does give your Royal Rebels trap protection. So this is kind of that in monster form, which does make it a lot more useful a lot of the time. Obviously it only works for one turn instead of continuously, but there's only one trap card that actually does destroy them, so you only need it the once effectively. It's a weird one, but Rogue of Archfiend is definitely an extra piece of utility that I really don't think the Royal Rebels needed, but they've now got. Next up, Thunder Gazelle, and this card is limit 3 on release. It is a Thunder monster with 1300 attack. If your opponent has no cards in their hand, so already it's got the same clause as Trigger Drago, shuffle 2 monsters from your graveyard into the deck. Choose one face-up monster on your field. If it attacks a defense position monster this turn, inflict piercing battle damage. So notably, the monster you target can be anything. It doesn't have to be a Thunder monster. So you could use this with literally anything, which is why I assume it is on limit 3, because Dragius can attack twice, and a double piercing Dragius off of a body that you can distribute off seems a little bit good, as well as the fact this guy's stats aren't too bad. 1300 attack is perfectly viable, and it does sneak under all of those skills that require you to have only a certain type of 1400 attack or more. So Thunder Gazelle, pretty cool. Then we have a support card that, again, I thought we were going to get instead of Buyer, and this is Royal Rebels Phaser. So if you have a face-up level 7 or higher Fiend monster on your field, send this face-up card from your field to the graveyard. Special summon one level 7 or higher Fiend from your graveyard face-up in defense position. So this is clearly here to support Doom Metal. Being able to cheat out a level 7 from the graveyard, as well as you'd already have to have one on the field, perfectly sets up its effect. And this is just another way for Royal Rebels to get easy access to high-level monsters to tribute summon. Because as well, you normal summon this card then tribute it off, you don't minus anything. You treat this as if you just had a level 7 in your hand, you could just normal summon and then tribute it off. So Royal Rebels Phaser, excellent support card. And again, we thought we would get this before Buyer. So, going down and take a look at all the rest of the cards, you can see this is a very, very small box. There are only 20 cards in it, and I suppose that's what a super mini box is. And this might be a new thing going forward. So if we look at the rest of the cards, we have Future Diviner, which again is a really good support card for Psychics. If you have a face-up level 7 or higher Psychic, which is a little bit of an annoying stipulation that you have to have a level 7, but we can draw one card and then send one card from our hand to the graveyard. This is notably a little bit better than the like Mystic Dealer type effects, because you get to look at the extra card first. You have a more informed decision of what to discard, and you can also discard the card that you drew, which does give you a lot more power over making that decision. So this card is better than something like Mystic Dealer, but again does have that stipulation of you have to have a face at level 7 or high Psychic. Next up, another trap card that we predicted we would get after we had revealed the Royal Rebel skill, and this is the Guard. So when an opponent's monster declares a direct attack, shuffle 3 monsters from your graveyard into the deck, negate the attack. Now this is a perfect way to try and deal with all of the Royal Rebel shenanigans. Between Invasion and between the new Doom Metal, Royal Rebels do just wipe your board, wipe your board, wipe your board, and the only ways we've had to try and stop them has been Widespread Ruin, which again, Royal Rebels are getting 2 different outs to, as well as King's Majesty, which requires us to play a Fiend package ourselves. Now with the Guard, we will have an additional option, which is just splashable, we don't have to run a Fiend package, to stop those direct attacks, which is very, very welcome. Again, we did predict we would get this card, and it is probably going to be a staple unless something else changes. Next up we have Endol, so more Psychic support. This one I'm not too excited for, so send one monster from your hand to the graveyard. That's already quite a steep cost, and it specifically does have to be a monster. Send this card from the field to the graveyard, so again, we're giving up a card from our hand, which has to be a monster, and Endol. And then we can set up to 2 Climax Finale or Psychic Introduction from your graveyard in your spell and trap zones. So, we give up 2 cards to get 2 cards back. Psychic Introduction is just a life point gain card, it's a bit crap to be honest. Climax Finale is an okay card, it costs us life points and gives our monsters attack points, but I don't think it's worth just trading 2 cards for 2 cards. Maybe you'd play this card anyway, because otherwise you just set it and tribute it off, and you could maybe use it to do a big finishing move. So that is a possibility, especially because the rest of the Psychic deck is quite weak. So maybe we do actually play this card, but I'm not sold on it just yet. Next up, Crawling Torso, and this is actually some really decent-ish support for the zombie deck. So 1000 attack level 3, During the turn you normal summon this card, you can add a zombie normal monster with 0 attack from your graveyard to your hand. So this is another Seahorse Carrier type effect. As long as we're playing zombies with 0 attack, we can pop one back in our hand. And again, we can play this. It doesn't have to be our only monster. It doesn't have to have any of those other stipulations like paying life points like Karibot does. This is just a Seahorse Carrier, but for 0 attack zombie monsters, which is pretty good for tribute fodder. Then we have a 1500 zombie beat stick in Samba Zombie Rio. Not really much to say about this. 1500 attack is pretty standard, but we're only going to get the one. Then we have Peace Holder, which is a new Psychic 1500, which means Psychic will now again have 2 1500 attacks. And this is another card that we predicted we would get a little bit earlier, so good on us. Then we have Clapping Thunder. So if we have 2 or more face-up Thunder type monsters on our field, so this is pretty directly going to be boosting the Thunder deck. All face-up monsters on your opponent's field lose 400 attack defense to the end of this turn. Then if you have 3 face-up Thunder monsters on your field, you can draw 1 card. Now this is actually really good because weakening your opponent's monsters is pretty good. It's an AoE debuff, so it weakens all of them, which means that a lot of our Thunder monsters, which already are quite good at dealing with your opponent's board between weakening one and changing one to defense, you can now more competently out all of them, as well as you get to draw a card, so the card replaces itself. So this is actually a really good card, especially since the Thunder deck works by chipping away at your opponent and slowly kind of killing them out the game, which is why we've been seeing things like Piercing Samurai just to get like a little bit extra damage. Clapping Thunder, you could read as, do an extra 1200 damage this turn if your opponent's monsters are all in attack mode, and then it replaces itself, so it's just a free 1200 damage. So Clapping Thunder I actually think could be really, really good. We'll have to see how it looks going forward, but I think this card's going to be really, really strong. Next up, we have Ghoulish Gal, just a zombie monster with 0 attack. This is a good target for the crawling zombie. Then we have the Thing in the Purple Mirror, again, a 0 attack zombie. Dole of the Dead, just another 0 attack zombie. And then we get to the Thunder Beetle. So we have Bass Drum, which is 800, 800. We have Thunder Beetle Hi-Hat, which is 600, 600. And we have Snare, which is 500, 500. So these are just weak Thunder monsters, level 1, 2, and 3. There's nothing particularly exciting about them. And then they get one of their support cards, which is probably their weakest, which is Thunder Beetle Boost. When an opponent's level 8 or lower monster with attack greater than your life points declares an attack while you have a face-up Thunder type monster on your field, gain life points equal to the attack of one face-up monster on your opponent's field. So it's okay, right? We gain some life points, but it's kind of specific. Has to be an 8 or lower, so it doesn't work against maximums. Your opponent has to be attacking with something big. Ideally, we have to have a Thunder monster on our field. It's very awkward to use, but it is fine, I guess. I don't think this card's really going to do much. I don't think the Thunder Beaters in general are going to be doing much of anything. So that is every card in the box. Very, very interesting that we've gone this route. There is clearly a lot of support here for Royal Rebels, which is weird because why do the rich get richer? The zombie stuff looks okay, but they're going to need a really good skill for them to really pop off. The Thunder stuff actually looks really good. There's not much of it here, but the stuff that we get does actually seem really strong. The Guard seems like a really good generic card. I'm really looking forward to this card coming out. And then the Psychic stuff is okay. There's nothing really to say about the Psychic stuff. It seems fine. And then the Thunder Beetle specific stuff, I don't think that's going to do anything. And finally, we have some new skills that are coming out, again, coming out tomorrow. So let's read through these. So no holding back Beat of the Superstar. This skill can be used if the only monsters with 1400 more attack in your deck are Psychic type monsters with 0 defense. At the beginning of your turn, from turn 2 onwards, you will no longer be able to resist the urge to become the ultimate duelist. So again, it's basically Angry Roman skill, I guess, but the ultimate duelist. Let's see what happens. On your turn 2 onward, during the turn you summoned a level 7 monster, add 1 level 2 or higher Psychic type effect monster with 500 or less attack in your graveyard to your hand. So this is awkward because we cannot add the Roman pick, and I believe this had a different name, but I think this was actually leaked a while ago. It's nothing super exciting. I don't think this is going to really do much for Psychic. Maybe there's something here I haven't seen. Maybe there's something super crazy, but it has to be a 500 attack or less. So maybe this is just to get out Diviner, but I don't think this is going to be particularly good. We unlock it by achieving 3 wins using only Psychic type monsters using Roman Cassidy. And then next up, the more interesting skill, Death Doom Requiem. So this skill can be used if the only monsters except level 4 monsters in your deck are Fiend type. Requirement none. So again, except level 4 monsters. So this is the same stipulation that the Thunder skill has, which is very interesting because that deck can still play things like Essel. Effect, place up to 2 level 7 or higher light attribute Fiend type effect monsters in your hand on the field in face up defense position. So cheat out 2 level 7 light attribute Fiend effect monsters from our hand onto the field. They have to be in defense mode. There can only be one of each level. So that is immediately interesting because that means we cannot have 2 level 7s, we have to go for a 7 and an 8. While a monster placed on the field with this effect is face up, its battle position can only be changed with a card effect, so we can't just swap them back to attack. This turn, you cannot attack directly using a monster with 2600 or more attack. So this is a very interesting skill. But basically, we'll be using this to cheat out either a Doom Metal or a Heavy Metal, and it has to be an invasion because that's the only way to get a 7 and an 8 out, presumably to tribute both to then summon out the Doom Metal. So I assume the priority here is going to be get out Heavy Metal and Invasion, tribute both for Doom Metal effect, pop the entire opponent's board, and then inflict damage to your opponent. And Doom Metal does not have any stipulations about what it can pop. So the only negative to this skill is it doesn't flip everything up, so if your opponent does just play a bunch of monsters in defense mode, we can't really do anything to hit them. But still, another extra thing that the Royal Rebels can do, which again, arguably still the strongest deck. But yeah, that is everything we want to talk about today. That's everything that's been released, and all of this should be coming out tomorrow. So very, very exciting. Straight after the GRF, all this new extra stuff. Thunder support, we're getting more Royal Rebel stuff. We still could do with a few more things, maybe a zombie skill. You know, where are the dinosaur cards at, Konami? Where are the dinosaur cards at? But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.